My sister and I decided to make this project together, and we collaborated by coming up with a list of tasks for each other and doing them independently. So she made her movie without seeing mine, and I made my movie without seeing hers. I am currently in Boulder, Colorado at Naropa University, and Susanna, my sister, is in Dharamsala, India. When Susanna was 7 or 8, my mom sent her outside for a timeout. I forget for what. And we had a garden that my mom let us have a little bit every year. We would plant carrots and spinach and potatoes and stuff. Not very much. But when she came back from timeout, we noticed that all of the carrots in my section of the garden had been pulled up and eaten, and there were just the heads of the carrots left, sort of littered around the garden.
So, when Rose was in high school, well, when we both were, we didn't like going to school very much. So, one day, Rose wanted to skip school. And my dad always drove us to school every day. And so on this particular day, Rose told my dad that she was taking the bus to school. And so she left early. And then, so my dad dropped me off, and then he drove to work. And at that point, Rose just walked home, and she was prepared to spend the whole day just at home. But I guess my dad had forgotten something.
I don't know whether Susanna told us or we just assumed that it was just a rabbit that had done this. And I was really sad because this was my garden. And like 5 years later, we were at my grandmother's house. And she leaned over to me at one point during the night and was like, "Can I tell you a secret?" And I said, "Okay." And she said, "Do you remember that time when the rabbit ate all of your carrots?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "That was me."
So he came back home, and Rose heard him coming, and so she didn't want to be found out, so she hid in the closet. And it turned out that the thing that my dad had forgot was in that very same closet that Rose was in. So my dad opened the closet, and Rose was sitting there, and my dad said, "Where, Rose? What are you doing here?" And she said, "I missed the bus."
Okay, this is my impersonation of Susanna. Ready? "Hey! You took all the good ones. What about me, Bill? When we first got our minivan, I was probably 2 or 3 and was just learning to talk.
We were about 3.
So we had this car for a long time, and at first it was really nice and really new, but then we didn't take very good care of it, so it got more and more gross.
I guess it was nice at first, but it slowly became more and more disgusting.
Like all of the cup holders were filled with this sort of gunk with like hair and pennies caked onto it.
On the sides where the tires were, it had these little boxes, and we would just stuff all this stuff in there, like atomic fireballs. And I remember one time something fell into one of the cracks in the seat, and I dug in and pulled out all of these maggots.
And we would always go and look for money in the cracks in the car seats. And I remember one time Suzanne and I went into the car and started looking for money, and there were all of these maggots in the car.
I remember when we would go on long trips, my mom would take out the 2 back bench seats and she would lay this whole bed back there. And
remember a lot of times just falling asleep in the back seat when we were driving home somewhere at night and just listening to my parents talk, and that being a comforting thing, and sometimes sort of drowsily waking up and seeing the lights of the dashboard.
In one direction all the headlights were red, and then in the other direction they were all white, and it seemed like this stream. And especially late at night I would always wonder about where all these people were going.
And seeing the moon, and I remember always thinking that it was following us.
Yeah, that's about enough about the minivan. Sometimes I feel like the run of the family. Like everyone's just always annoyed at what I do. I'm not trying to annoy them, I'm just trying to have fun.